Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. How is everyone today? I feel like I'm a little bit more prepared. Hi, Jillian. Hi, Andrea. Jen. Hi. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Let me send this to the ladies that are. Good morning. Miss Jillian, as soon as Miss Brooke hops in, I'm going to add you both in. But good morning, everyone. Good morning. There's Miss Brooke to Cannabis or Good Moms to Wake and Bake on Saturday mornings. This is where we are going to start coming in on Saturday mornings, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and talking to real, live, raw people that are on the side of cannabis that a lot of people don't talk about. Like, everybody's so for recreational and everybody being able to get it that there are some things that get lost, like banking, finding a spot, green zone in general. These ladies that I have coming on today, some of these stories are good. They're they're good. Like the banking one, like I know it's an issue, but it blows my mind every time. Like PayPal is missing out, and Square, because Square is on with PayPal, they are missing out on a huge revenue. I can't even get a PayPal account because there is Canna in my name. I don't even sell THC products. I sell CBD products on the side that's not linked with that PayPal, but my PayPal that's for the Canna Moms or Good Moms to nonprofit shut down because I had Canna in my name. I even fought it and was like, I'm not selling anything. I'm a nonprofit. Still, no. All right, let me bring on these ladies. Miss Jillian is actually the one that came to me with this topic. And as soon as she came to me with this topic, I promise you, like, I didn't even have to second, like, think about it. I was like, yes, when can you do this? Next, I'm going to bring in Miss Brooke. I messed up your name, Miss Brooke Westlake. She is actually the lady in charge of the Women in Cannabis Expo that we were all just at and had a fantastic time. But besides the expo, she also has a testing facility that she is trying to open. And yeah, good morning, ladies.
Good morning. Can you hear
How
me?
are you?
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Okay, good.
I just added Miss Brooke in too. I actually want you. There's Miss Brooke.
Hi.
Um, Jillian, I actually want you to start us off on this because you're the one that came to me with this topic. And like I said, you came to me with it and I read it and I was
Brooke.
like, yeah, absolutely. This is a perfect follow up from last week. Like,
Yeah,
because we're going off of why we're not ready yet. And the stories that you guys are about to tell is just another reason why we aren't ready yet. I'm for federal legal. Don't get me wrong, everybody that's listening, I'm for it. I want everybody to have access, but for us to have proper access, we got steps.
yeah.
We got steps. All right, Miss Jillian.
Good morning. I want to start off by saying, Brooke, you have no idea what you've done for us, bringing us women. Sorry,
I
guys, but this is love right here. So, thank you because this is so powerful, and having sisters, Canna sisters, as a team, yeah, we're gonna crush them. We have to. So for me, I'm Jillian Xavier. I'm the owner of Draglo Edibles. I see you. Draglo Edibles, which is the THC side, which I'm trying to get license on. Draglo LLC is the hemp side, which I have an e-commerce with Amazon, which sells organic hemp seed shampoo, conditioner, hair oil, stuff like that. I had to figure out how to make money in the process of getting a license. The city of Long Beach, where I am, there's they said, okay, we'll give you $450,000 in grant money to help you get into the cannabis business. But so far, out of 92 social equity entrepreneurs, only one have gotten through. And so we had a town hall meeting on Tuesday, which I sat for 3.5 hours, waiting to talk for 3 minutes to the mayor of Long Beach and to the councilmen and councilwomen, right? The Cannabis Oversight Department is taking the grant money and creating programs saying, oh, you guys need technical support. Oh, you guys are not ready for business. Or we need to hire more people. So the money is not actually hitting, you know what I mean? So you got that frustration there. The second frustration you have is there's no properties available. What happened is the tall people, and when I say tall people, the people who have it, they came and they bought up all the properties, right? It's not licensed, but they're marketing it as if it's licensed, a licensed property. 2 million, 3 million, 4 million. You're out your mind. The property ain't even worth about 500,000. They selling you an application. If you're smart enough to read, I do a lot of reading. If you're smart enough to read, so there's a lot of dots on the map, but only the ones that are stars are actually active and licensed. So what these owners are saying, we're already licensed. No, they're not. So you got to deal with those lies. Then you got to deal with all these 420 properties, camp properties, every property, and you're like, okay, can you help me find something? Well, send me I'm not sending you the financials. I know there's nothing out there. You know what I mean? So basically what I told the mayor is, I don't care about any programs. Don't give them no money. That's ridiculous. My accent came out at that point. I went straight Trini, and and I think next Monday you're going to be able to hear the recording. So I can't even wait to send that to y'all, because y'all probably going to crack up. Like, damn, she went Trini on their ass. But, so what I told him, it doesn't matter what you do, unless you open up the green zone, we're stuck at square one. We can't get past go. So the city using the money internally, that sounds like corruption. Let's get some media on it. Let's see what's going on. Let's pick it outside your offices, because it's going to take that. You know what I mean? I would love for a town hall meeting if everybody could just come. By the time they got to us, the chambers was empty, and there was only 5 social equity people standing there to speak on all our behalf. It's ridiculous. So that's my frustration. Yeah. No, it's ridiculous. I mean, they lucky they didn't get, I was trying, I'm like, Jillian, don't cuss, be a lady, walk up with some dignity, but I really wanted to cuss their asses. I was, you ask Brooke, I can cuss.
You know what? I'm going to say this, though. At least here for Washington State, dispensaries everywhere. They're essentially like a Starbucks around here. Like, they're everywhere. I have found in my research in Washington State, there is one female-owned dispensary.
Oh, wow.
One. Like, I did my research before I came on here. All the other dispensaries that are here in Washington State, here in Bothell alone, I have 2 competing across the street from each other, 7 minutes down the road from me, both male-owned. But here in Washington State, it's not the white man that's getting it, believe it or not.
Really? That's
It's the same ones that are owning like the smoke shops and things like that, because money. I actually talked to one of the owners because I was curious. I was like, okay, like, what made you get into this? I'm one of those people, I'm nosy, and I'm just going to come straight up and bust up and talk to you. I was like, I'm curious. Like, what made you get into this? They all said money. It's money. But then we get that one female dispensary. I'm still trying to reach out to her. I would love to speak to her, like how she did that, like what she had to go through. Because Washington State being a rec state, we should have more female owned. But I bet you it's the same garbage. Because I bet you if somebody that Jillian, say there was a man that came in and he had a dispensary and he had a wad of cash and he's like, I got something to say. And he shows that money and he shows that boom, there goes that dispensary.
Well, that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. You had all these guys that owned the trap houses. They already had the money, right? And they just went in there, and the city just like, yeah. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I'm not knocking your hustle, but there's room for women here, and we're coming and we're not going anywhere. You know what I
Nope.
mean? And that's just, that's it. That's all. They have to make room for us, and we have to demand it. We have to speak up.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mhm.
yes, I sat for 3.5 hours to speak for 3 minutes, but I'll sit there again just so you can hear me. I'm not going nowhere.
Mhm. All right, Ms. Brooke, which one are you going to do? You're going to do expo? Do you want to do your testing lab, or do you want to do both? Because you
I,
got both.
I I'll talk a little bit about both, and I'll talk a little bit about what's happening in our state, because you bring up a
Okay.
really good point, important point. And thank you for including me. I miss you both, love you both dearly.
Miss
By
you
the
too,
way, the
baby.
calendar photos, oh my God, oh my God. I just can't even wait for you guys to get your pictures. Um, so there's a few things that are happening in our state. So Amanda, you brought up a really good point. You said in your state, in Washington, there's you have dispensaries in every corner. And so what Nevada did was we did a lot of limitation when it came to, so in the US, we have 19 states that are recreational and medical, and then we have 33 states that are medical. So your state is obviously a recreational state. My state's recreational, and so is Jillian's. Jillian's in California. I'm Nevada. You're Washington. So it sounds like they did where they gave out licensing. They just gave out a slew of licensing, which mostly predominantly went to males who had money. In Nevada, it was very limited. They do a lottery system here, and so we don't have dispensaries on every corner. It's very competitive to get a dispensary or a lab license or whatnot. So what they did when they were doing dispensaries here, people had to actually show that they had a building first. And that was really confusing for others. And our state's in a lot of hot water for this. And this is why I don't have my lab license yet, is because in 2019, that's how they essentially distributed licensing again, was giving it to somebody who already had a building. But what if you went and you had a building and they didn't give you that licensing? You were out that lease agreement or that money. And so those people who did not have those spaces said, no, 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 you guys are doing this wrong. And that's not acceptable. And rightfully so. But what that has caused a backup in our system here in getting any more further licensing, whether it's a lab license, a dispensary license, a grow license. So for me, I was straight up with everyone when I went into finding a building. You've got zoning requirements, you've got city. So you not only do you have to follow the state guidelines, then you've got city and
Yes.
county guidelines. So you have to make sure that you're well aware of, okay, so your state allows it, but what about the county and the city that you're in? Do they allow you to have a recreational facility license or a testing license or a grow license? For me, for a lab, I had to really drill down on those items. And the first group, I actually worked with a group of real estate women. And I was very forthcoming and said, I need a lab. It can't be zoned near a school. Like, you've got so many parameters of things that you have to look out for. And these women, unfortunately, did not do their due diligence. And I actually had to let them go because they kept finding me spaces that were next to a daycare facility. I couldn't have my lab there. Next to a school, I couldn't have my lab there. So finally, what I did was I drove around in an industrial area of Reno, and I started calling on buildings in these industrial areas and saying, look, I'm looking to open a lab. This is, for testing for cannabis. I was very forthcoming, cannabis and CBD. And I found a group that said, oh, we can work with you. We've done this before. We worked with people finding them a dispensary and whatnot. But it took me almost over a year because finding the space. So we started in January 2020. Everything shut down by March of 2020. I had to let go of the group that I originally had onboarded, found a new group by July. Then I signed the lease contract, and I didn't even move into the space until at the end of last year. I still don't have a lab license though, because our state isn't open for lab licensing, for grow licensing, for recreational, because of the lawsuits from 2019 that they have not wrapped up. So I'm now in a space that I'm paying money for every year, $60,000 a year, that I don't have a lab license for. I am, however, able to run my other cannabis entities out of there. So my women's expos, my calendar that we're launching, we are launching our own independent white labeled CBD brand. We are launching an e-commerce apparel with jewelry and whatnot. And that's great. I'm able to, as a entrepreneur, figure out different ways to use that building to make it work for me so that I'm not out money in the meantime. But our state is also not very forthcoming on when the licensing opens up. So typically they were doing it every fall. They don't tell you when they're going to do it. You just have to check back monthly. I'm on a little email list. I email them, when's licensing opening? When's licensing opening? When's licensing opening? It's to the point where it's very frustrating because the amount of red tape that is surrounding this industry, it can make it very frustrating for people to not want to go in it. And then the other caveat is people, when they hear you say, oh, you're in cannabis, you're making tons of money. You're hand over fist. You're making all this money right now. And I'm like, actually, no, I'm out money right now, and this is the thing that people need to remember. Anytime in business, and it's not just cannabis, anytime you go into business, you're going to have a loss. You should be running at a loss for the first 2 or 3 years. You shouldn't just be making profit right away. So I have to remind them, no, I'm not making hand over fist. I'm opening companies in a pandemic. I don't have my testing equipment yet because it's $1 million equipment, and I'm not going to sit on another $1 million loan on top of my building that I have that I can utilize, but I can't do testing because I don't have a lab license, and I don't want to get in trouble with the state, because if you get in trouble one time, they yank your license entirely. And a lot of states are like this. So there's so much red tape and parameters that go around this industry. And I think that the great thing for us women is that we're natural born fighters and leaders. And we go, okay, like Jillian said, I'm going to sit there for 3 hours. I'll sit there and I'm going to tell you how you guys are doing it wrong. And I think that the biggest thing for us coming together, whether it's us 3 women, and there's more of us out there, is that we have to be voices for these states and tell these people who are in office, you guys have no idea what you're doing. You have no idea how you're writing these laws. You don't even know how to run the business. So you need to talk to people who are going to go into these companies, or who have had businesses, who are natural born entrepreneurs who want to have a company and can lay a foundation just like they did with another company, because it's no different from laying a foundation from another entity. You've got to have your tax forms, your EIN numbers, your attorneys lined up for you. You got to know exactly what you're doing and how you're doing it. But these people who are in the states making these decisions to onboard cannabis, they're doing a lot wrong. And another problem that I see, it's like the wild, wild west out here. So they graciously, oh, we're going to give out these cannabis licenses and we're going to collect all this tax money. How do you think they're collecting the tax money? It's all cash. These dispensary owners, these grow sites, these lab owners, they're having to take cash money down to the taxation office because you can't do an ACH transfer. You can't give them a check. You can't say, here's your tax money, which is ludicrous. We are in 2021 and you're having people risk their life with bags of money down to the taxation office. I mean, when you look at the bigger picture of all these steps and how they've set things up, where they say, oh, okay, Amanda, you want to have a lab license? And you're like, yes. And then you're seeing all this red tape. And then you're going, wait, and I'm supposed to come and give you like $20,000 in cash for my tax dollars? That's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And us women leaders need to speak up and hold these people accountable. They need to be out of office. I'm sorry. You're making this a lot harder for everybody, and you need to go. I am one of those people that when I need to speak my truth, I will speak my truth, and I will tell you exactly where they messed up. And they messed up in a lot of ways, and they continue to mess up, and they're not making it safe for anybody. And that includes men also. I mean, you guys met Christine she's a dispensary manager. I won't name it just because I don't want to put her at risk in any way. But I said, how do you take cash down there? And she goes, yeah. And I go, does that make you nervous? And she goes, yeah, I'm like wearing a backpack of $100,000 on my back, taking it down to the state to give them their tax dollars. That's crazy. That is absolutely crazy. And then on top of it, to have all this red tape, like, I understand, necessarily having a dispensary, you don't want it next to a school. I get the zoning issues. I agree with those zoning issues, but they've got to make it more of a streamlined process, and they can't make it so hokey pokey is what they did. They said, we want the money, but we're just going to do it and let y'all figure out how to do it. So, as it comes to today, I'm out money and I'll figure it out. I think that I'm in this with everybody when I say we make it work, we figure it out. There's days that I stress about it, but at the end of the day, I know that I'm in the space of what I'm meant to be doing in my lifetime right now with cannabis and having these different companies, and I'm making the space work for me. Thank God I'm creative enough to make that space work. If I was not creative enough, what would I tell my investors who have backed me for this building? By the way, I don't think I'm going to get that lab license for 3 years now. I don't freaking know when I'm going to get it. I'm going to them saying, I'm making it work in other capacities. I'm bringing women together for our expo. I've got a calendar for us. I've got our e-commerce site coming us. I've got our white label products that are coming for us for the state. But not everybody is able to do that, or have they made a network where they're able to talk to Amanda or talk to a Jillian and say, can you point me in the right direction of what I should be doing or how I can make this work for me at this time? It's very easy for this industry to take your hands and throw it up and be like, I'm done. I don't even know what to do. There's no support. The infrastructure for support is not there other than us coming together like we did at the expo. And I have to say, even it's a bottom line. That's a business as well. And I ran at a loss this year, but that's okay because we needed to get boots off the ground and we couldn't make it happen last year because of COVID. So we've got a multitude of things that are happening. And all I can say is more power to all three of us and all the women out there who are pushing. I hope that you write your legislatures and your people who are in office who are writing these bills. You need to tell them to step up to the plate or get out of office. They need to either write the laws correctly, they need to know what they're doing, which they don't, they need to get advice from people who are in the business, or they need to step back and walk away because they're not making decisions that are helpful for anybody at this point. And my level of frustration is to hear, and I plan on being a loud, frustrating voice in the state in their face, telling them what you have done is wrong. It needs to be corrected. And if you don't like what I have to say, I don't really care because I'm here to tell you what's happening right now. And you need to correct the situation. So that's my 2 cents for now until you guys have a comment or question.
I have to
No,
agree. I have to
I
agree real
love
quick,
it.
Amanda. I have to agree real quick. The thing is the system is designed for you to fail.
Yes.
It's not really for the weak. You know what I mean? You're talking about being years of being social equity. Why am I 2-3 years still looking for a building, can't get past one stage? It's designed for you to walk away. You
Yep.
know what I mean? So you got to get in there to those town hall meetings. They got to know your name. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And like I told them, the last thing I said to them, I said, my name is Jillian Lisa Xavier, and y'all better do better because I'm not going nowhere. And I walked out. I didn't even wait for a response. I just like cussing on the way out quietly. You know what I mean? Because it's so, like Brooke said, it's so frustrating. It's like you can't move. You got to fix one thing. You know what the problem is. Stop running around it. Fix it. Give us, open it up for licenses, at least in your state, Brooke. Okay, well, at least open up 5 for now till we try to figure out and then move slowly, but give somebody something. Help me help you get your tax money and I can live my best life and help my people. You know what I mean? And help my sisters in every capacity, We'll have to pull together somehow.
So I
They're opening
I
up.
got a question for you on that, though, for both of you guys. So if we're having all this struggle now, what happened if we became federal across the board?
Well, I'll start, Jillian,
Yeah, you
and I'll
start.
make this brief. I think that federally, I mean, the thing is when you onboard any kind of new industry, you've got a lot of moving parts that you really have to look at and just kind of examine. And I think that federally, if we legalized it federally, I mean, I think it would make it a lot easier for patients and people for consumption purposes. I think it would obviously make it easier for both Jillian and I and yourself, PayPal, Square, all those people would start taking money and the banks and all that. It would probably drive the pricing down. Like I think we talked about when you were driving through Oregon, you said pre-rolls were like $2 or $1.50, were like the pre-rolls here in Nevada are $12. So you're going to have a price situation, supply demand. You're going to see a lot more people go into the industry. And I think that we've seen a huge influx with CBD already in the industry. A lot of people thought they were going to make a huge amount of money on CBD. And a lot of people went into CBD. And that's okay. That's okay. I think that things shift over time. They kind of like pan out like flour. I think it would probably make things a lot easier, because then there would be some guidelines, so to speak, but not necessarily, because they all have to get on board and really kind of encompass, like, what are the parameters, what are the guidelines. The states really haven't done that. I mean, they've really just been like, okay, we accept cannabis and marijuana, and then like threw their hands up and didn't really do anything. So I don't know. I mean, there really has to be a lot of sit down conversations just to say, what does this look like? If they're going to make it federal, the first thing they have to look at before they even do that is they have to look at prison reform for marijuana charges before they can even really consider that, because that's a really unfair thing for our prison system to say, oh, we're going to make cannabis, federally legal for everybody. And the reason we have such high inmate rates is because of cannabis. Oh, wow. And the underserved communities. And we talk a lot about that in my master's program in criminal justice. People say, oh, well, you have a master's in criminal justice. They probably talk about locking people up. They're actually the opposite. They talk about how we shouldn't have locked so many people up, and how we took the underserved communities and we criminalized them with cannabis, marijuana charges, and whatnot. So there really needs to be two conversations that happen, and that needs to be prison reform would need to have like an expungement type of situation, as well as then also looking at federally, what does this look like federally if we legalize cannabis? That's my 2 cents.
I'm with Brooke on that one. I think it's a double-edged sword, though. You know what I mean? Yes, it will stop the rates from happening, because they still be jumping up in those dispensaries sometimes. And, California just did a big bust down on, some illegals, that's out there. They just, I think it's a double-edged sword, because I think at the end of the day, the state can't get their shit together. Now we got to deal with y'all feds. And all y'all feds want is to just listen. It's just all about money, guys.
Yeah.
They just need to figure out how much they want to tax us. They're making this raw for nothing. Figure out how much money you want from us. That's just the bottom line. And let's figure out how we can work if work together, so you don't come and raid me. You know what I mean? The city is opening up 8 licenses exclusive for social equities on dispensaries, which I'm going to jump in. Why not? I got to get in any way I can. I'll just have to do my manufacturing another time. We'll get it on the shared kitchen side. But you doing that and you're worrying in the back of your head, is the feds going to come bust me down? So it's a double-edged sword.
In Alabama, if a mother tests positive for cannabis, weed, the green, in Alabama, she gets charged the same charge as methamphetamine. She gets her child taken from her at the hospital and then goes to jail, because they consider THC on the same level as cocaine, methamphetamine, all of the above. That is insane.
That is insane.
I mean, if you guys were around in the DARE program era, I mean, it was all scheduled. It's part of the same scheduled drug thing. And then also, and speaking of that, is like my ex, so I went through an ugly divorce. You guys know this. And my ex actually faked out CPS. And when they came to my house, they asked me, do you use cannabis? And I said, yes, I do. And she goes, well, it's illegal. I said, yeah, I know it's legal. I know it's legal in my state, and I know that I'm allowed to use it. So you don't need to sit here and lecture me on using it or not using it. And she's like, just as long as you're not using it around the kids. But it's okay for people to drink around their children. It's okay for people to smoke around their children.
Yeah.
But there's this stigma of cannabis, and I'm not saying that people need to be smoking cannabis around their kids. So please don't misconstrue what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that it's just so interesting, the dynamics of, like you said, and it's been like that for a long time. So the states that don't have it, it is still a scheduled, I forget what the level is, don't quote me, but it's still scheduled like that. So if you have cannabis in your system, it's no different than having cocaine and whatnot. And it was a conversation we had on Clubhouse about having CPS, having those conversations, and they will randomly test mothers in certain states, and that, yes, they will take your kid if you test positive for THC and it's not a state that is cannabis friendly, or you can't produce a medical card, which is crazy. It's just crazy to me.
It's Well, thank you, ladies. I'm going to bring on Miss Chris and Miss Jennifer. I really appreciate you guys opening this up because I knew you guys had
Yeah.
super strong stories, like super strong stories. Now, this next one, when Chris comes on, I think I want her to touch a little bit more on the banking because you guys didn't do the banking. She's got banking stories of
Great.
Oh, let's see.
trying to get banking in this industry. So, thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. You have to log off.
Okay.
I don't think I can do it.
I will do it. I don't know what I'm doing. I'll figure it. Give me a second. Oh my God. Okay. I think I got it. Bye. Love you all.
Bye. Dukerson. Miss Chris coming on in.
Hey,
Hi. Appreciate you coming on.
thanks for having me.
Yes, I have one more that's coming on with us. I'm gonna grab her real
Okay.
quick. And there we go. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Okay. So following that up, I think your banking is going to be perfect because they touched on like the licensing and like the green area zone area. And if
Yeah,
you could follow, because you were telling me about the banking, and it's like
it's
I said
really,
earlier, it's like I know that this is an issue because PayPal fights me all the time on it. But then like actually hear like these big businesses like
yeah.
it's everybody's losing revenue from it.
Yeah, I mean, I
So
definitely, hi.
I did it.
yeah,
All
awesome. All right,
right,
Miss
honey.
Chris, tell
All
us
right,
about
so I'll just
banking in this
jump in.
industry.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Yeah, I mean, I started last November, November 2020. I started my business, the Botanica Boutique, and I sell high quality CBD products and what are legal cannabis products like Delta 8. Um, and when I first started, I had done all my research about like what about the plant, but not about regulations and things like that. I knew it was, legal and about the 2018 Farm Bill that made it legal for, people to grow it and to sell it and to buy it. So I started out on Square, just naive, and I was doing fine for a while, and then they shut me down without any preamble. It was just kind of an immediate, all of a sudden I got an email, my whole store was shut down. And I contacted them, and it took about 2 weeks to finally like talk to an actual person. And when I spoke to them, they were like, well, you need to apply for the cannabis pilot program, which I didn't really know about, the CBD pilot program. So I did that, and they just ghosted me. I tried to get a hold of people for like months, a couple of months, I think. And so my business was just kind of, you know, offline at that point. I was trying to, do what I could off Square, but it just makes it so complicated to take payments. So I did a whole bunch of research, and I reached out actually to some other CBD e-commerce stores, and I found a couple of different third-party payment options. So when you do something like that, so I switched over to Shopify from Square because I didn't want to do business with them at all anymore. Um, and on Shopify, if you use a third party, you have to use a third party payment processor if you're in CBD, because they only work with Stripe, and I think they do work with Square, and they're not cannabis friendly at all. So, and they do work with PayPal, and PayPal's not either. So oh, so sorry, I'm in New Jersey, the Botanica Boutique. I'm in New Jersey, so we're actually recreational, legal, and medical. And I'm working on opening a dispensary, but that's a whole nother thing. Yeah, so I started working with these third party payment processors, and I have to tell you that it was like the amount of paperwork that went into filing an application with them was literally more than I had to fill out for my mortgage. It was ridiculous, and it's just so that somebody can use their Visa card to buy a product. And there were all these restrictions. The first person that I worked with, you work with I worked with like a middleman, and they charge you all of these fees. Shopify takes 2% of your gross sales to use a third party payment processor. So that's one fee. Then you have to pay for a gateway. So that's a second fee per month. then you pay for the, payment processing fee per month. Then I think I get charged like 4.9% plus 30%. Plus 30 cents on each purchase. So it's like it winds up being a lot, plus 2% of my sales. And they take a cash reserve. Yeah, Jersey reppin'. Yeah, you heard the way I was talking. Sorry, I'm seeing the comments. Yes. Um, so the bank requested that I take like I think I had like 100 products, and they were like, you need to take like 60 down. And I was like, no, I don't, why would I take 60 of my products down? No, absolutely not. And they said, well, you have too many, and too many are edibles, and too many are this, and too many are that. So I just walked away, not knowing, just kind of being upset and being like, I have no idea what I'm going to do, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to like settle and ruin my business. So I wound up finding somebody else, and I currently have the payment processing, but it hasn't been easy. I have had to take products down because of the packaging. If it says dietary supplement, if it says the word sex or sexual enhancement, I've had to take it down. So I was carrying Foria products, which are really, really great, and they won't let me carry those, which is really sexist, I think. And I had to take down my wild gummies, which are really, really good. And they're THC free, and a lot of people like them and rely on them, especially the sleep gummies. And they made me take them down because it says dietary supplement on the packaging. So, and the newest thing is now I need to have a certain percentage of CBD edible products to other sort of CBD products. So I have to constantly be figuring out how to balance things out on my website. So I'm currently, trying to find something that makes more sense and doesn't cost me so much as a small business. And I mean, it only gets harder when you start to get into the dispensary side of things, because like you said, it's cash.
Yeah, that's here in Washington State too. Like I think California you can use card, but here in Washington State it's all cash. Like they have ATMs like in the dispensaries because you have to pull out cash. And then like Brooke was saying, that's scary. So all of
Yeah.
these dispensaries are taking these large sums of cash to go deposit them into the cannabis. If you are still in here, if you want to come on and speak after Jen does, you totally can. We open up the floor after all of our speakers are done, because it sounds like he was doing the CBD dance that you did too. So if you have
Yeah,
anything
it
to add
is.
that
Yeah,
into it.
it's crazy.
All right, Miss Jennifer, what do you think?
So I am like, I was, how my feelings, I was feeling slightly inadequate at speaking. Um, because I am super, super, super new to the whole industry side of things. I've been a user for so many years, and found my little niche in this world, and I'm super passionate now, but I've only been around since like August. So I'm having a lot of fun learning from like some fire women that are phenomenal, by the way. Every single, like, I'm blown away right now. Um, but I'm actually, because I'm from Michigan, which is super, super medical and rec friendly. It kind of depends, I guess, on region. Where I am, we have in Benzie County, we have a lab down the street that is also a dispensary and grows. So it's a one-stop shop. You go a little to the north and you're in Traverse City. They're super, super med friendly, rather. I get all excited and fired up and I start to trip over my words, but um, but they only have about 4 or 5 rec licenses throughout the entire city. Traverse City is massive. Um, I guess in my fight, I'm paying $4,000 a semester out of pocket to obtain a cannabis chemistry degree that I currently have zero clue what I'm going to do with. But I'm figuring it out as I go, and it's a lot of fun. And I am absolutely like blown away by I don't think it should be so difficult. I'm not sure why. Um, I would be, and this is no stretch of the imagination, I'm 36 years old. I'm a single mom. I took 18 years off of school before I took 5 college classes. I would be dead without cannabis. I thank God did not succeed at any of my attempts. But if it wasn't for cannabis, my life would have ended. And I will get emotional and I don't care because I am on, like, my heart is on fire. And hearing that, a mother and a kid, thank God I never had to worry about that, um, like I'm just super, super thankful. I'm super excited. I agree. I feel like my brother actually is from New Jersey. He is no longer here. However, he was a massive cannabis advocate and is a huge reason I do what I do. So the second that I learned where you were from, Chris, I gotta tell you, I was immediately drawn. So I have a couple people. I'm not sure, you may already be connected, but I'm gonna definitely get a hold of you. And just I'm learning so much. I'm just so thankful. And I appreciate you, Amanda. That's really I'm enjoying keeping this short and sweet.
What about the grow that you're doing? The grow that you were helping with? Did you
Okay,
hear
well,
anything about some of their back stuff of like any troubles that I mean, just even harvesting? Like how is harvesting there?
harvesting legality wise, I don't know. We're going to be completely honest. I have a very good friend who I actually do, like I've told you, fourth trimester doula work. So I am doing some, that was my gift to her for her baby shower. So I'm doing that, and that was her grow. So I'm harvesting now. I am going to hop off of here and go pick up some trimmers. We've become close. I bought myself several pairs. As far as the legality of things go, I mean, you can have up to 12 plants. It's just the atmosphere, what do you call it? The conditions are rather not ideal this year.
I think that's true for a lot of people with all of the weather that's going on. Well, I appreciate everybody that came on today, and I appreciate everybody's stories. And I'm hoping that the right people can hear these stories and go, oh my gosh, I didn't know. And maybe there's just other allies that we can grab to pull on our side. Because, like Brooke said, I'm on board with her, but she already knows that I'm going to be a very loud, in your face, I've got something to say, because we've got too many people doing the just watch me, this is how I do it, so it should be okay, and not
Mm-hmm.
enough on the other side that's going, no, it's not okay, but this is why. Like
Yeah.
banking,
It's connection.
licensing, just getting somewhere to even put up somewhere like, oh, here, have some money, but just kidding, we don't have anywhere for you. Here, have a building, but licensing, banking, yeah, right.
Bang,
It's
bang.
like all of these things like they just need to be out there, and I just don't feel like anybody's doing it. So I appreciate you guys coming on here and just telling us these raw stories, and I'm going to be doing these every Saturday, and that's what I want. I want raw people on here on the industry side speaking out, because the more we show our faces and our voice, the more we're going to get heard. Plus, I take all these afterwards and blast them on all my social media to make sure people hear us.
Good. I
I
have
mean,
one thing
too.
to add, actually. I wanted to add on to what Brooke was talking about when she was talking about mothers being tested for THC. I recently learned about some of that, and especially in New York, in New York City, and New York State, they passed a law where the mothers can't be tested. However, children who were born to mothers who are on welfare or Medicaid, um, the children can automatically be tested. So so it's just something to have in mind, that even when it seems like there's a state that's doing the right thing there, and it's only the mothers that are on like federal help.
Well, that would be me.
I'm
Yeah.
trying so hard to bite my
Yes.
tongue right
Thank
now because this is live and I'm trying to be professional about this because I want more people in.
Yeah.
No.
Me too.
Yeah.
Same, Amanda. That's all. Love you. Good job. Proud of
Oh, that
you.
is the
That's
stupidest I have ever heard.
Yeah.
So because you get help from the state because you need help,
Yeah. Well, they
ooh,
don't
man,
do
it's
it.
about to get off this live and do some digging.
Do some
it's
digging. Look at the laws in New York. Because they changed them to make them more liberal and progressive, but the they didn't do anything around the laws having to do with the moms who are on Medicaid or welfare, and it is a large population of women, and Yeah, I mean, I think it's part of the process to do it.
Ooh, Miss Jillian had to
Ooh,
hop back in. It got hot.
hey,
This is when the accent going and come out right blasted now. That is stupid on every level, and that is a
yeah,
form of racism. You
yeah.
don't know who's on what.
No, I
Everybody
know.
needs
It's yeah,
help in this pandemic, and it's not even about the color. You know what I mean?
No,
Everybody needs help in this pandemic. So I think we need to bring this back, Amanda. We got to bring a part two on this because
I
yeah,
think
because
so. I
I want
think
to do some
so.
research. I want to come back on this, and let's do a part two on this. You know, and as far as the banking ladies in California, I am with Dama Financial. Dama
okay,
Financial
Okay.
is a banking firm that will help, and they're willing to work with you. Their fees were a
okay.
little bit ridiculous, but once you get in on a personal business, you say, "Here's where I'm at. I'm in my hemp stage. I haven't got to the THC stage because even with the grants, I'll be honest with you. At the first stage, once you become an applicant, you get $10,000, right? Got the $10,000, went to the bank, and had to come back and bring my green card, my birth certificate, my this just to get that. I mean, racism in banking as
Mm-hmm.
well.
Yep.
Racism in banking as well. And I needed to get some of the cash out immediately. This lady gave me $5,000 in 20s. $5,000 in 20s, y'all.
What did you do with it? How
What
did
can I
you
do? I mean, I gotta pay my bills. I got this to do. I gotta
just
just
like?
pay it in 20s. It's what it is. It's like a stripper. We just gotta get how we get it. You know what I mean?
But see, that's also one of those things, though. But you take that to the bank, and some banks, that's a possible red flag.
Yes,
Like, where'd
it's
you get all
great.
that
We can't
cash
cash
from?
it. We can't cash the whole thing for you. But what we can do is you can deposit this, and we'll give you $25,000. Yeah, in 20s.
That's crazy.
So you facing that. So I had to get with Dharma Financial because as once I get a building, that's another $100,000 coming
Mm-hmm.
in. Where in the them banks going now? So now I got to pay a monthly fee, but it's okay. I know my check is going to go over here, and it is what it is. But there is banking. I think we need to come back on this,
Yeah.
Amanda. I will get some information if I can get a representative from there to jump on. I have a personal banker there, and she can just kind
Okay.
of help us if that's okay with you guys and
hmm
educate us on what we need to do. I mean, it's
I
ridiculous.
also, I also now want to do a series. I wrote it down. I want to do laws and something like laws in legal states, but what really are the laws?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
that's insane. That is the
yeah.
whole thing. Like when I keep trying to say derogatory, the word, do not use the word marijuana. That word is derogatory. Do
Yes.
you see right here in this four square, like the small little Brady Bunch we are, how
Mm-hmm.
that is derogatory?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's insane.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because
You just made
Oh
well,
my
yeah,
research
yeah. We gotta
brain just,
we gotta get it in again. We gotta get it in
Yeah, and
again.
I think it's like at the federal level when I think like when the decrim happens, that for me is going to be like that's what'll change things like that. We
yep.
have to decriminalize whether or not it's legal at the federal level. They need to decriminalize it ASAP because, and also declassify it as I think it's like a class one drug right now. And if they declassify it and decriminalize it, we're gonna be able to do so much more. And then people who need to use those systems that are in place in this country for them won't be disproportionately negatively impacted by things like this.
Yep. We have one more person that wants us to thank you, ladies. Like seriously, I'm so glad that that topic somehow came up because now I'm like, uh-huh.
Let's get
We need
on
to get
this.
on we need to get the
Yeah,
Thank
law
you,
side of this.
ladies.
Like it's
thank you. Could you send
Thank
me
you,
the
ladies.
banking information?
I will. I
me
will. I
too,
will.
actually.
I will. I will.
Yeah,
I will. I'll send
thank
it through
you.
Amanda. Will do.
Thanks,
Thank you,
ladies.
Awesome.
loves.
Thanks so
Fair James
much.
people, I'm gonna pull you on as soon as these ladies slide out. You said you had something to say on it. Let me hear what you have to say. We still got a little bit of
How do
time.
I leave? I don't know.
There should be an exit button on the bottom. There you go. You guys got it. Press maybe the top right. I sent you an invite, love. Let me know in chat if you didn't get it, and I can send it again. Wow. Like that's, you know what? I was actually talking to Jennifer, the one that was just on here down below earlier. Before this nonprofit, I didn't do this stuff. I purposely took zeros in speaking class so I didn't have to get up. Any speaking outside of that for like work or other jobs, nope, didn't do it. I wouldn't even do karaoke with my friends. Like that's just how. But then I started this nonprofit and I start hearing these stories and I start hearing just all of these voices that just, man, they just need to be heard. Like, how many of you that were in listening today didn't know about that? I personally, I'm not gonna lie, I look into law. I've been studying a little bit of law. I have one of my admins she's actually helping me with law. I did not know that that was a hidden law in New York. All right, CPD for you too. Come on in. What you got? I tried to let in Mary Jane's people, but I don't know what happened. So I'll let you be my last in. Hello. Do you have something to add on to our topic? Yeah, my intuition. So we have 10 more minutes. I guess I could live on a little bit more, but that's exactly what happened. It started on my TikToks. Like that's really where I broke out, was on TikTok. I finally got brave enough copying a couple of other videos that were done. And then after a while, I started, calming down a little bit more. And then it just becomes a habit. But in Reno, I actually had a full on panic attack before my speech, because this just is, I'm doing this, like I feel safe behind the camera, but man, like up on that podium, you're like, all these people are looking at me. I did it. I did it anyways. I did go up there. I did speak. Panel was a lot of fun. I won't lie. I was actually more nervous for panel than I was for my speaking spot, and had way more fun on panel. Panel was fantastic. Both of those are actually on my YouTube if anybody wants to see them if they're interested. My speech and me on panel. And winning my award. We won an award. Look at it. Look. It's so pretty. And speaking of that, today, Can a Moms Are Good Moms Too is actually featured on the top page of The Stranger that's here out of Seattle. Oh, sorry, CBD for you. We come on every Saturday. I guess I'll just say this for everybody. We come on every Saturday, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And as you guys have seen today, if you tuned in today, or if you also tuned in last week, we're going to get raw. We're going to get real. And we're going to get loud. Did I just come up with my catchphrase? My slogan? That's kind of cool. Real, raw, and loud. Because like I was saying, it's just, we have too many people that are like, yeah, I do that. Watch what I do. Too bad. But we don't have enough people on the side that we're on that's like, but this is why. Like, this is the raw. This is the real. Like, my mind, like, I can't. I'm so glad Chris brought that up. My mind is still on that whole, if you're on welfare. That's insane. Wow. Okay. Well, we are going to hop up off of here for this wonderful Saturday of Wake and Bake on Saturday mornings with Cannabis or Good Moms 2. I am Amanda Rogers. I am founder and the crazy coordinator behind all of this raw, real, loud chaos. All right. We'll see everybody next Saturday. Have a good weekend.